Hi, I'm Mabel. I've always been the responsible one in the family, the one who gets things done while everyone else is busy living their best life. That's how I ended up in this situation with my mom's house. 5 years ago, Eleanor, that's my mom, called me up out of nowhere. I was just getting settled in my tiny apartment after my divorce. Honey, I'm having trouble keeping up with the mortgage payments. The bank is threatening foreclosure. I rushed over to find her sitting at the kitchen table, drowning in overdue notices. My younger sister Vanessa was there too, scrolling through her phone like nothing was happening. I can help out for a while, Mom, I offered, already mentally rearranging my budget. Eleanor grabbed my hand, her eyes lighting up. Actually, I had a better idea. What if you take over the mortgage payments completely? Once it's paid off, the house will be yours. I can live in the guest house and it'll still stay in the family. I looked around at the place I grew up in. It needed work, but it was a solid 3-bedroom in a good neighborhood. Are you serious? That's a big commitment. Your sister can't afford it, and you've always been better with money. Right, Vanessa? Vanessa barely looked up. Whatever. I'm not tied down to one place anyway. We shook on it that day. No formal paperwork. We were family after all. For 5 years, I poured everything into those payments. When my car broke down, I took the bus. When my friends went on vacation, I picked up extra shifts. I moved back into my old bedroom to save on rent and renovated the place room by room. My best friend Zach thought I was crazy. We were having coffee when I told him about the latest repair bill. Let me get this straight. You're paying your mom's mortgage and you don't have anything in writing? That's insane. It's my mom, not some stranger. Besides, I'm building equity. He shook his head. Family can be the worst when money's involved. My boyfriend Daniel was more supportive. He even helped me replace the kitchen cabinets last summer. This place is really coming together, he said, admiring our handiwork. You've put so much into it. Just one more year of payments, then it's officially mine. And finally, that day arrived. I made the last payment yesterday, set up a dinner with the family tonight to celebrate. I even splurged on a bottle of champagne. I spent the afternoon with Daniel, picking out new furniture for what would now be my living room. You deserve this, he said, squeezing my hand. 5 years of sacrifice. As I pulled into the driveway, I saw both Eleanor's and Vanessa's cars parked out front. Perfect. Everyone was here to celebrate. I had no idea what was waiting for me inside. I walked into the house, champagne bottle in hand, feeling like I was floating. 5 years of sacrifice had finally paid off. The woman of the hour, Daniel announced as he followed me in. Eleanor and Vanessa were sitting at the dining table, which was already set for dinner. No congratulatory banner or cake, but I didn't mind. The deed to the house would be celebration enough. I brought champagne, I said, holding up the bottle. We should toast to new beginnings. Eleanor didn't smile. She folded her hands on the table. Before we celebrate, we need to talk about the house situation. The way she said house situation sent a chill down my spine. What's to talk about? I made the final payment yesterday. I've fulfilled my end of our agreement. Eleanor cleared her throat. Well, about that. I've been thinking that it makes more sense for Vanessa to have the house. The champagne bottle nearly slipped from my fingers. Daniel steadied my arm. What are you talking about? We had a deal. I've been paying the mortgage for 5 years. Vanessa smirked. Mom and I talked about it. I'm planning to start a family soon, and you're always working. You don't need all this space. The casual way she said it, like they were deciding what to have for dinner, not stealing 5 years of my life, made my blood boil. You knew about this? For how long? Vanessa shrugged, examining her manicure. Does it matter? Family helps family. You would have helped Mom with the payments anyway. Daniel stepped forward. That's not right. Mabel has put everything into this house. Stay out of this, Eleanor snapped. This is family business. The doorbell rang, interrupting our standoff. Eleanor jumped up to answer it, looking almost relieved. It was Uncle Richard, Eleanor's older brother. He rarely visited, claiming family drama gave him indigestion. Perfect timing for dinner, he said, before reading the tension in the room. What did I miss? Mom just told me that after paying off her mortgage for 5 years, the house is going to Vanessa. Uncle Richard's bushy eyebrows shot up. Is that so, Eleanor? That wasn't the plan you told me about? Eleanor shot him a warning look. Plans change. While they argued, I slipped away to Eleanor's home office. If there was evidence of what we'd agreed to, it would be there. I rifled through her filing cabinet until I found a folder labeled House. Inside was a bombshell, a handwritten note dated 4 years ago. Reminder, let Mabel pay off house, then transfer to Vanessa. Will needs updating. There was also a draft will leaving the house to Vanessa, dated just 2 months after I started making payments. They'd been planning this for years. I photographed everything with shaking hands, then returned to the dining room. The argument had escalated. You can't do this to her, Daniel was saying. She's your daughter, not your personal bank. What I do with my property is my business, Eleanor insisted. I slammed the folder on the table. Was this your plan all along? To use me to pay off your debt, then hand everything to your favorite? Vanessa had the decency to look uncomfortable. It's not like that. Then what is it like? Explain it to me. Uncle Richard put his hand on my shoulder. You need to talk to a lawyer, kid. This isn't right. Daniel nodded. I know someone who specializes in family property disputes. We should call her tomorrow. Eleanor turned pale. You wouldn't sue your own mother. I gathered my things, my hands still shaking. Watch me. The next morning, Daniel and I sat in the sleek downtown office of attorney Jessica Winters. Her credentials hung on the wall behind a massive oak desk. So, let me get this straight. You've been making mortgage payments for 5 years based on a verbal agreement that the house would be yours? I spread out my evidence bank statements, renovation receipts, and photos of the documents I'd found. I know how it sounds. I should have gotten it in writing. Jessica examined the bank statements. These consistent payments establish a pattern, and this note from your mother's files is interesting. Shows premeditation to deceive. Can we actually win this? Verbal contracts are binding in this state. You've acted in good faith and have evidence of their intent to defraud. We have a case. My phone buzzed. Uncle Richard was calling. I put him on speaker. I've been digging through some old family papers. Your mother pulled something similar with your Aunt Carol back in the 90s. Had her invest in a business, then cut her out. There was a settlement. Jessica's eyes widened. That establishes a pattern of behavior. Can you get me those documents? Already scanned them. Check your email. After the call, Jessica turned to me. We need more. A recorded admission would strengthen our case significantly. How do we get that? Set up a meeting. Wear a recording device. Get her to admit the original agreement. 3 days later, I met Eleanor at a cafe downtown. My heart pounded as the tiny recorder Jessica gave me pressed against my ribs. I appreciate you meeting me, I started. I want to understand why you changed our agreement. Eleanor stirred her coffee nervously. Don't be dramatic. We never had a formal agreement. So, you're saying you never promised me the house in exchange for paying off the mortgage? Well, I might have suggested something like that to help you make a decision, but to help me make a decision? You mean to trick me into paying your debt? I needed help and you could afford it. Vanessa needs that house more than you. So you admit we had an agreement that I would get the house? Fine. Yes, I told you that. But the house is still in my name, and I can do whatever I want with it. Bingo. Later that day, back in Jessica's office, we played the recording for Uncle Richard and Daniel. That's a clear admission, Jessica said, stopping the playback. Now, there's something else you should know. I had my paralegal do some digging. She slid a folder across the desk. Inside were loan modification documents with Eleanor's signature and a poorly forged version of mine. Your mother tried to refinance using your credit. This is forgery, which is criminal. Daniel squeezed my hand. That's crossing a whole new line. Uncle Richard shook his head. Not surprised. Eleanor always thought rules didn't apply to her. What do we do now? I asked. We file immediately, Jessica said. requesting specific performance of the verbal contract and damages for the forgery attempt. We'll also notify the mortgage company of the potential fraud. Will this get ugly? Probably. But based on what I'm seeing, they'll likely want to settle once they realize how strong our case is. As Jessica prepared the paperwork, I stepped out to call my friend Zach. You were right about family and money. What are you going to do? Everything legally possible to get what's mine. By the end of the day, Jessica had filed the lawsuit. The trap was set. All we needed now was for Eleanor and Vanessa to walk right into it. The courthouse was packed for our hearing. Jessica arranged her documents while Eleanor and Vanessa sat across the aisle with their expensive lawyer. My clients offer $10,000 for Miss Walker's troubles, provided she drops all claims. Jessica didn't even look up. Our counteroffer is full title to the property plus compensation. Your clients committed fraud. When proceedings began, Eleanor played the victim. Your Honor, I'm just a mother who needed help. I never promised ownership. Jessica methodically presented my payment records, renovation expenses, and the recording. The judge leaned forward. So you did promise her the house? Eleanor squirmed. I may have said something, but... And this document with the forged signature? Uncle Richard testified next. My sister has a history of financial manipulation. She did this to our sister Carol 20 years ago. During recess, Vanessa cornered me. You're tearing this family apart over a stupid house. Mom needs that money for retirement. This stopped being about the house when I found out you planned this scam from day one. We can still fix this. I'll split the sale with you 50-50. I laughed in her face. Too late for deals. When court resumed, the judge wasn't having any excuses. This court finds that a valid verbal contract existed. Miss Walker fulfilled her obligations. The defendant's actions show clear intent to defraud. The gavel came down like thunder. The court orders the property transferred to Mabel Walker within 30 days. Additionally, Eleanor Walker is ordered to pay $25,000 in damages for the attempted forgery. 2 weeks later, Zach called with unexpected news. Vanessa's real estate firm found out about the lawsuit. They fired her for ethical concerns. Apparently, they don't like agents who steal houses. The fallout spread quickly. Eleanor was uninvited from her social circles. The neighborhood watched as she packed her things from the guest house. 6 months later, I hosted a housewarming party. Uncle Richard raised a toast. To Mabel, who taught us all that justice eventually comes knocking. Jessica clinked glasses with me. Your case has helped 2 other clients stand up to family financial abuse. Zach brought his new girlfriend, and Daniel announced he was moving in. As I looked around at my chosen family, I felt no regret about cutting ties with Eleanor and Vanessa. That night, after everyone left, Daniel and I sat on the porch swing. Any second thoughts? I watched the sunset over my house. Not one. Sometimes the only way to deal with toxic people is to show them there are consequences. To new beginnings, he said, pulling me close, and to getting exactly what I paid for. How far would you go to get justice if your own family betrayed you financially? Would you take them to court like Mabel did, or would you have handled it differently to preserve family ties? Share your thoughts in the comments below. What would you have done in Mabel's situation? If you enjoyed this story of justice served, hit that like button and subscribe for more revenge stories about surviving toxic relationships. New videos every day.